They thought his dog was a danger. Then the full moon came. Good boy, Akit. Dylan's dog, Max, had always been a mystery to the neighbors. He was a massive, jet-black shepherd with glowing amber eyes, and he never seemed to leave the yard. He didn't bark much, but when he did, it sent a chill down the spine. The neighbors whispered, saying Max was dangerous, even though he had never harmed anyone. They said he was too quiet, too watchful, too hungry-looking. Dylan had grown used to their muttered gossip, ignoring the way parents pulled their kids back when Max was out for a walk. He knew his dog better than anyone. Max wasn't dangerous. He was just protective. But Dylan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the way Max would stare out into the woods at night. One evening, the whispers grew louder. It was late, later than usual when the kids gathered outside to play. Dylan had gone inside to grab a snack, leaving Max sitting on the porch, his eyes trained on the tree line at the edge of the neighborhood. The other kids were chasing each other down the street, oblivious to the ominous silence in the air. And then, a scream shattered the night. Dylan's heart leapt into his throat as he rushed outside, panic crawling through his veins. He saw the other kids running back toward their homes, faces pale with terror. He caught sight of one of them, Sarah, falling behind, her legs too slow, her breath ragged. She was almost to the porch when the creature appeared. A hulking figure, its shape twisted and feral, emerged from the darkness. A werewolf. Its eyes gleamed with hunger, its claws sharp and dripping with the promise of blood. Dylan's stomach turned, and for a split second, he froze, too horrified to move. But then, Max sprang into action. With a growl that vibrated through the air, Max leapt off the porch, his powerful body crashing into the werewolf. The creature howled in pain, surprised by the ferocity of the attack. Max's teeth sank into the beast's arm, dragging it to the ground with a force that should have been impossible for a dog. The werewolf snarled, thrashing wildly, but Max held tight, his amber eyes glowing brighter than ever. He didn't release his grip. The kids stood frozen, too scared to move or even scream, watching as the battle raged before them. Max and the werewolf, locked in a brutal struggle, both tearing at each other in the fight for survival. And then, as suddenly as it had started, the werewolf let out a final scream, a guttural cry of defeat, before it collapsed, lifeless, onto the ground. Max stood over the creature, panting, his fur matted with blood. His gaze shifted to Dylan, who was still standing there, wide-eyed. Max's body was still tense, but he looked at Dylan with a kind of knowing. The dog's eyes softened, and he slowly walked back to Dylan's side, nuzzling his hand. The kids, now aware of the danger that had passed, began to move again. They gathered around, whispering in awe and fear. "Good boy, Max," Sarah said, her voice shaking. Dylan nodded, still too shocked to speak, but deep down, he wasn't surprised. He had always known there was something special about Max, something more than just a dog. As the sun began to rise, casting its first light on the quiet neighborhood, the kids slowly went back to their homes. But Max stayed by Dylan's side, watching the woods one last time, before he turned and disappeared inside with his boy. The neighbors would never understand, but the paranoid whispers stopped. All they said now, when they saw him, was, simply, "Good boy."